Right now, a Madison man likely won't spend any time in prison for repeated sexual assault of a child. What Rape Crisis Center officials are saying tonight.
And we're learning what led to a fatal rollover crash on the Beltline in Monona.
Plus, caught on camera, a man says he ran from officers during a traffic stop because he didn't have a driver's license. How a law enforcement drone helped find him.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 6.
And thanks for joining us. The Rape Crisis Center says a Madison man convicted of child sexual assault is getting a slap on the wrist.
Nathan Mcquillan will serve probation, but likely won't see any prison time under a judge's ruling from this week. Rose Schmidt explains why.
The judge imposed and stayed Nathan Mcquillan's 3-year prison sentence, which basically means he won't be locked up unless he seriously violates his probation. That leaves police and survivor advocates asking why there wasn't a harsher punishment. This week, a Dane County judge sentenced 45-year-old Nathan Mcquillan to 5 years probation, but he can get off after 4 years with good behavior. Aaron Thornley-Parisi from the Rape Crisis Center questions why he likely won't spend a day in prison.
I think it feels like a slap on the wrist.
In September, Mcquillan took a plea deal, pleading guilty to 1 count of repeated sexual assault of a child. Court documents show he met a 13-year-old through a Craigslist ad in 2016. The child told Mcquillan he was 18 at first, but eventually revealed his real age. Over the course of 2 years, they had multiple sexual encounters at a Waunakee church, wooded area in Waunakee, and in a car. A friend of the child reported the relationship to police. The victim contends the encounters were consensual, but Thornley-Parisi says someone that young is unable to consent.
It gets a little old that we don't take sexual assault very seriously, that in our criminal justice system we continue to treat this as a not very serious crime.
Waunakee police tell us they were, quote, disappointed and surprised to learn of the judge's sentence. Given that there was a child involved, there were repeated acts, and the suspect was aware of the victim's age. 2 other charges in this case were dropped, but were read into the record this week. Mcquillan was ordered not to have contact with the victim or his family and has to register as a sex offender. We reached out to the district attorney and Mcquillan's attorney for comment, but we have not heard back. And anyone who is in need of assistance is encouraged to call the Rape Crisis Center 24-hour helpline.
Rose Schmidt reporting. Rose, thank you.
To weather now. It is finally starting to feel closer to normal November temperatures. Let's check your first alert forecast now with Chief Meteorologist Gary Canaldi.
You know, believe it or not, Charlotte, we should be back to normal for tomorrow. But with snow on the ground, we're starting to see some fog develop as the snow melts. You can see visibility's out to the west, now dropping to 1/4 of a mile in Mineral Point and 3/4 of a mile in Lone Rock. And you can see the snow gradually shrinking, especially areas north and west of Madison, but temperatures are still above freezing. Here in town, we're at 37 degrees. Janesville is at 37. Most of southern Wisconsin seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 30s. By morning, temperatures will only have dropped to around freezing, so we'll continue to melt snow through the night, and we'll look for temperatures to climb to a high of 43 for tomorrow afternoon, maybe even a peak of sun late in the day, but we will look for some rain tomorrow night. I'll have more details on weather in a few minutes.
1 person is dead and another injured after a rollover crash on the Beltline this afternoon. This happened before 1 o'clock westbound between Monona Drive and Southtown Drive. Monona Police Chief Walter Ostrenga says a driver with 2 passengers in the car cut in front of another vehicle and ran off the roadway into a ditch. 1 person died at the scene. A 2nd person has serious injuries after being ejected from the vehicle. According to the DOT, investigators cleared the scene about an hour and a half ago, but the crash is still under investigation. A Green Bay man is dead after abducting his girlfriend at gunpoint and shooting her. Officials say Luis Cardona shot Babette Caraballo near an ATV park in Kewaunee County. That's when the deputy opened fire. Before 5 o'clock this morning, Cardona kidnapped Caraballo from her workplace. Officers pinged his cell phone and put up a drone to find his SUV. Caraballo was alive when she was transported to the hospital, but her condition is unknown at this time. A man runs away from police and gets stuck in a swamp. That's what happened early this morning near the Alliant Energy Center.
And police are crediting their drone for finding the man, saying without it, he could still be stuck there. Our Amanda Quintana joins us with more details. Amanda?
What started as a simple traffic stop for an equipment and registration violation quickly escalated. Uriah Smith doesn't have a license. He panicked and took off into a marsh, but instead of chasing him, officers called in a drone.
When we stop a vehicle on the side of the road, we have no idea what we're going to encounter.
This traffic stop early this morning definitely didn't go as expected.
It's a rare instance that a car is left in drive or reverse and comes back towards us, and the person jumps out of the passenger side of the vehicle.
Just when Fitchburg police thought 28-year-old Uriah Smith was pulling over, he took off into a marsh.
With how thick the brush was in that area, we could have been searching for hours trying to find him, and still at the end of the day not even know if he was still there.
Instead, they requested the help of one of the Madison Police Department's drones.
In the sense that it's a game changer, we now have aerial capability that we have not had in decades. And in doing so, the technology to allow this to either fight winds, to hover in location, to use infrared capabilities, to move up to 55 miles an hour, to track somebody is limitless.
You can see it took just seconds for the infrared camera to find Smith and a K9 and officers to move in.
It's picking up on heat differences, and somebody running in a cold marsh and their body heat alone, you can see them clearly stand out.
Captain Mike Hansen is calling the $4,000 piece of equipment revolutionary, especially after learning that this chase turned into a rescue.
He was stuck in waist-deep water, and officers had to assist in rescuing him, pulling him out with a rope.
The drone not just keeping the officers from waiting in freezing swamp water for hours, not knowing if the suspect would attack, but it also ended up saving the suspect.
This individual is very lucky this machine was available and deployed so quickly with our experienced operators.
You may remember just last Thursday, MPD's drone also helped locate a missing Sun Prairie man who was found incoherent in a culvert. These two saves in less than a week are showing officers just how valuable this technology is.
And we saw it in the story right before yours as well, a regular tool in law enforcement. Amanda, thank you. City of Beloit says it has shut down one of its wells after finding higher radium levels than normal. According to a release, samples were collected from November of last year to September of this year. The city will not specify where that well is, but they say while there is no short-term risk to radium exposure, it will create a mitigation plan to repair the well before reopening it. Also in Beloit, LGBTQ rights groups are asking the city to ban a controversial therapy practice. Adam Duxter spoke with leaders from multiple organizations and joins us now with why they're making this request. Adam?
Yeah, Eric, conversion therapy is the practice of trying to change someone's sexual orientation by using intervention. It's not backed by science and it's not backed by medicine, but leaders I talked to today say it still happens in the state of Wisconsin. And at a city council meeting in the city of Beloit last night, leaders from Yellow Brick Road Organization and Alternative Counseling asked for the city to ban the practice. Co-owner Rob Shue says it's a matter of inclusion and diversity.
I was shocked to find out it wasn't banned in Wisconsin. The American Counseling Association, which is the governing body for counselors, the American Psychological Association, the governing body for psychologists, all have very, very strongly worded statements around this.
Beloit City Manager Lori Curtis Luther has responded in a memo where she says, while the city does value diversity and inclusion, it might not have the authority to make that kind of ban happen. She says a type of ban like that might have to come from the state level.
Adam Duxter in our Rock Country Bureau. Adam, thank you.
Wisconsin's 9-day gun deer season starts before dawn on Saturday. Hunters will be allowed to kill does in every county for the first time in a decade. The department is asking hunters to turn in deer heads for chronic wasting disease testing and encourages them to dispose of carcasses in landfills or trash bins the DNR has placed around the state to slow the CWD spread. The DNR says it has sold roughly the same number of deer hunting licenses as last year. As of Sunday, more than 538,000 licenses were sold. That's about 500 fewer compared to last year. The tally includes gun, bow, crossbow, and other licenses. Crossbow licenses are up 10%, and licenses for children under the age of 9 are up about 1,300. State health officials are investigating a significant increase in reported cases of E. coli across the state. They're working with local health departments to interview sick people and try to find the source of the outbreak. Health officials say you can prevent the spread by washing your hands before eating or preparing food and staying home from work or school when you're sick.
More local news now. Today is the official groundbreaking for a new community arts center on the Isthmus. The Arts and Literature Laboratory is getting a new 10,000 square foot space. The nonprofit encourages visual, literary, and performing arts. Their new building is at the corner of South Livingston and East Main Streets in front of the new public parking garage near the Sylvie. Alders approved a $500,000 grant for the Arts Lab finish interior construction. It's expected to take 4 months to complete.
Next at 6, a highway in Portage will now honor a local hero who sacrificed his life to save Americans from Somali rebels decades ago. We'll hear from family members who helped make the dedication happen.
And there's more local news ahead. The city of Madison laying the groundwork to reduce the number of pedestrian, bicycle, and vehicle crashes. What it'll take to become a Vision Zero city. That's tonight. News 3 Now at 10.
Governor Tony Evers vetoed a bill today that he says limits how and when we can honor Wisconsinites by dedicating a portion of a state highway or bridge in their name. Speaker Robin Vos said Evers was, quote, playing partisan games by vetoing the bill. He released this statement today saying the bipartisan bill was intended to preserve the integrity of the tradition by honoring worthy individuals in our state and was widely supported in both chambers. The governor continues to put politics over people. Evers said the reason for his veto was so he could sign a new bill that would dedicate a portion of Highway 33 in Portage to a fallen hero who didn't meet the previous bill's criteria.
And Jamie Perez tells us the story of the man who will forever be a part of that highway in more ways than one.
Staff Sergeant Bush is truly a hero who sacrificed everything for his team members and our country.
For those who don't know, Staff Sergeant Daniel Bush. He was a hero.
Sergeant Dan running out around a corner and confronting 150 Somali rebels by himself, holding them off and saving 10 to 15 to quite a few American lives who got rescued because of his heroism.
A son to Ginny Johnson.
Everybody wants their son or daughter remembered.
And now someone who will forever be remembered through a highway dedication in Portage.
Folks like Staff Sergeant Bush deserve to be recognized and honored, and that's why I'm proud to be signing AB 77 today.
To name a stretch of Highway 33 in his honor as Staff Sergeant Daniel D. Bush Memorial Highway, it was a hard-earned goal for many, but especially for Bush's cousin, Brian Wheeler.
It's a lot of pride, you know, knowing that he's remembered, and it's an honor. I mean, he drove up and down that highway so many times.
His name will now forever be a part of the town he grew up in, right next to the place he's buried, and right next to his mother's home.
I know where he is, and I know that I'll see him again.
The bill that made this happen had bipartisan support from the community and support from the governor.
There was never anything on my mind that would have prevented me from supporting this.
Because of Bush, people survived, and in his honor, his name will forever be a part of the community of people who love him most.
I don't know if it's really hit me yet,
Yes, no,
you know, but it's just something nobody can ever take away from Dan.
In Portage, I'm Jamie Perez, News 3 Now.
The family is hoping to get the official signage up on the highway as soon as possible.
Coming up in sports, Brewers fans are excited to get their hands on new gear featuring the 50th anniversary logo that's similar to an old one.
And high temperatures jump into the 40s. We're finally getting a little closer to mid-November normals. Gary has your first alert forecast next. And it's time now for your first alert forecast. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti looking at visibility out there, right?
Yeah, you know, we've got snow on the ground, and as we melt that, with temperatures being above freezing, it just adds a little moisture to the air, and we're seeing visibilities, especially west of Madison, below a mile in some spots. Only a quarter of a mile in Mineral Point, 3/4 of a mile in Lone Rock, and 3/4 of a mile at the Baraboo Dells Airport, while the Dane County Regional Airport right now has a 9-mile visibility. Winds might be just a little bit stronger in this part of the state compared to out west, but we will see areas of fog, maybe some locally dense spots overnight. In fact, as we look at future track visibility, Notice those visibilities down around 1 mile through 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, but as the morning goes on, the winds start to pick up and the visibility start to improve as a result. 3 things you need to know about the forecast. Of course, the fog tonight, so keep that in mind if you do have to do some driving later on tonight. You could run into some locally dense fog, but it'll be mild tomorrow. High temperatures in the lower 40s, and we could hit 50 Thursday morning before a cold front comes through, and that will cause temperatures to drop off later in the day. Before that happens, though, rain is likely from Wednesday night into Thursday. In fact, we could be looking at somewhere between about a ½ inch and maybe an inch of rain over parts of southern Wisconsin. Looks like the threat for the heaviest rains will stay just to the south of Madison, but that coupled with snow melt could lead to some localized areas of standing water. High temperatures, though, like I say, go up to 50 on Thursday before the cold front comes through. We drop back to 35 on Friday. Then temperatures stay around normal for the weekend and then drop below normal as we head toward Thanksgiving, with the potential for a winter storm either here or nearby in that time period. So we have alert days in the forecast for Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. It'll be windy Tuesday. We'll see occasional rain. Now, it could start out as a mix of rain and snow, but probably change to rain, then mix with the snow late on Tuesday night, and then change to snow on Wednesday. We could see some snow accumulation. In fact, Future Track shows the storm early on Tuesday morning of next week. As it comes up from the south, we'll see mainly rain across southern Wisconsin through late Tuesday night, early Wednesday, and then a changeover to snow as the cold air starts to wrap around the storm system. And then eventually the storm should move off to the northeast. So as we head toward Thanksgiving, things will quiet down. So the Thanksgiving holiday planner shows that mixture of rain and snow changing to snow and windy conditions. Actually, that should be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but 32 for a high on Thanksgiving and 37 for Black Friday. Looks like it'll be quiet for that day. Live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. Not seeing a lot of fog in the Capitol lights. High today, 38 degrees, the low temperature 32, and right now we're sitting at 37 degrees. The air is calm, and with the humidity increasing, that's a good setup for some fog to form. Forecast for tonight, mostly cloudy skies, areas of fog, low temperature dropping only to 32. And then tomorrow, look for the fog to lift early. It'll be mostly cloudy through much of the day with a high of 43. So it will be a little milder. We could even see a few peaks of sun late in the day, and you can see this on Future Track. Cloudy skies, areas of fog overnight, low temperatures, low 30s. But notice tomorrow, maybe a little bit of clearing late in the day as highs reach the lower 40s. The clouds move in along with the rain tomorrow night into early on Thursday morning. And then Thursday, we get a high of 50, and then those temperatures start falling back to the lower 40s by late in the day. 7 to 10 day forecast, quiet through the weekend. Then we have to watch Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Thanksgiving Thursday will be a cold one, and Friday high temperatures mid-30s.
The Brewers have a new look that takes them back to their old look, but the stuff is already flying off the shelves. The story's coming up in sports. Last night, the Brewers showed off their new logo, which is pretty much like their very old logo, as the ball and glove MNB replaces the M with the shoot of barley. One of the reasons you change your logo, of course, is to sell more merchandise. And the revamped Brewers fan store at Miller Park is now loaded with that new gear. A lot of the stuff looks very similar to the old stuff, but there are 4 different versions of logos and a little different lettering on the jerseys and such.
But I think true Brewers fans notice every little thing we do, and they're going to dissect it and be able to tell the difference. When we announced the new logo last night, the store opened, and we had lines out the door, and we were selling till midnight, so it was a lot of fun. The classic ball and glove is so popular. It was time to bring it back, and we made some updates, some modernized tweaks to it, if you will. Nothing too dramatic, because we wanted to stay true to the heritage.
There are 4 new styles of Brewers uniforms. The most talked about version is the cream-colored jersey, which will become the primary home jersey for the Brewers. By the way, pitchers and catchers report to Arizona Wednesday, February 12th. Opening day for the Brewers' 50th season in Milwaukee is at Miller Park, or whatever they're going to call it by then. That's against the Cubs on Thursday, March 26th. Saturday's a big game for Badger football when Purdue is at Camp Randall for a 3 p.m. kickoff. And since it's the final home game of the season, it's senior day, and 13 players will be introduced with their parents before the game. That includes linebacker Chris Orr, who's part of a senior class that has 40 wins and is 3 for 3 in bowl games. It's been an up-and-down career for Orr, who tore his ACL in the first play of his sophomore season, but he has persevered and become one of the team's leaders.
I mean, it definitely wasn't what I expected. It was definitely more than I expected at the same time. You know, it's not, I guess, the smooth sailing that, you know, everybody hopes for. But definitely turned out, you know, to have a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. So, you know, the experiences that I've had, you know, the teammates and friends that I've made, you know, have helped me out a lot. So I've enjoyed my journey, but it ain't over yet. No.
The top 2 seeds in the NFC face off Sunday night when the 8-2 Packers play at 9-1 San Francisco. That's on Sunday Night Football. Kicks off at 7:20 Central Time. Outside of a bad game at the Chargers a couple of weeks ago, the Packers have been on a roll. Aaron Rodgers sure seems at peace with the world. Even though they're 10 games into the regular season, the Packers are in pretty good shape health-wise.
We're healthy right now. Everybody's, you know, moving good, feeling good, energized, and just ready to go and get this last push. So. We're going to need everybody to make this last push that we got to make.
One of the area's top girls basketball players will play at Penn State. Madison Memorial's Leilani Campinas missed last season with a knee injury, but she's back, and she announces she'll play at Penn State. And believe it or not, the high school girls basketball season starts tonight with the first games around the state. Last March, Black Hawk, Beaver Dam, and Marshall won state girls basketball championships. Beaver Dam looking for its 4th straight title in Division II this season. Good luck.
We're not even done with football. You got some games coming up this weekend at Camp Randall. They never stop. Final check with Gary.
Watching the fog. National Weather Service has just come out with the dense fog advisory until 9 a.m. tomorrow. Until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for southwestern Wisconsin, including areas west of Platteville to Lone Rock to Wisconsin Dells Line. You can see visibility is down below a mile in some of those areas. Temperatures right now are in the low to mid 30s through much of southern Wisconsin. Highs low 40s tomorrow and around 50 before a cold front comes through Thursday. We'll watch a storm just before Thanksgiving.
Thanks for joining us for News 4 Now at 6.
Have a great evening, and we'll see you back here at 10.